Hi guys, and welcome to another video. So Sunderland yesterday evening did confirm the signing, or the re-signing should I say, of 35-year-old striker Danny Graham. Now I have already made my sort of opinions on this known, although it has kind of changed a little bit over the last sort of 12 to 24 hours I guess. But of course, you know that this wasn't a surprise. We're expecting this to happen. We've been linked with Danny Graham for several weeks now. It just seemed to be a sort of a matter and a case of when rather than if. But it has happened, of course. And like I said, my impression of it originally when we were linked with him, it was very sort of underwhelming because I didn't believe it's, and I still to a degree don't believe he is what we need. I've said for a while now, I feel like we need pace up top, and not just up top, but throughout the squad. And, you know, with all due respect to Danny Graham, he certainly doesn't fit the bill of a pacey striker. But, of course, I'll support any player that comes to the club, despite his previous record. But like I say, it's definitely not one that necessarily excites me. Again, like I say, I'll support him 100%. I hope he does do well, of course I do. But I'm just not a liar. You know, I'm not going to lie to you. It just didn't excite me. And generally, when Sunderland sign anyone, regardless of the name or the stature, I do get quite excited as a Sunderland fan. But with this one, it was just sort of like, meh. You know, it didn't really fill me with confidence. But then, to be fair, when I do have a look, and I suppose anyone can have a look back on sort of YouTube compilations of a player, and I've looked through his goals for Blackburn, stuff like that, and it's always going to make players look good, particularly strikers. But you can really see the sort of the similarities to the goals that he scored for Blackburn. Then, like they were almost identical to kind of goals that Will Grigg was scoring for Wigan. He is a poacher, although Danny Graham has added a level of sort of hold-up play and strength and aerial ability to his game, which he just didn't really show for us first time around in the Premier League. Now, I know a lot of people, there's been this big argument over Twitter and social media in general on Danny Graham. A lot of people saying, oh, he's 35, you know, he was rubbish when he was with us in the Premier League, and then someone will come back and say, yeah, that was in the Premier League, we're in League One now, it's totally different. You know, the Premier League, Danny Graham that we saw would rinse League One. But this is the argument here. Yeah, of course, in the Premier League, it was a completely different kettle of fish. There were different defenders for him to come up against. The quality is massive, massive in difference. It's huge, but it's not like we're bringing back that Danny Graham that we did have in the Premier League, and we're bringing him to League One. We're not. We're bringing a Danny Graham who's now 35 years of age. You know, it isn't the same Danny Graham. It isn't the same Sunderland. You know, it's not the same Sunderland, and it's also not the same Danny Graham. So it's very 50-50 for me. It could go one way or the other. But after reading his interview, or sorry, listening to his interview, it certainly felt like, and it looked like to me, that there was a lot of hunger there. You could see it in his eyes, and there was, you know, a lot of players that come in, you can just see that they just read off a script to him or say the same thing, you know, oh, it was a no-brainer, this, that, and the other, just the same old cliche stuff. But you could really see that he's very, very determined. He's very hungry to succeed at the club and put right what was wrong when he first came. And like he said himself, but back in the Premier League, he admitted that it didn't go well, and he also addressed the doubters as well, which not many players do, and he did, and I actually really, really appreciated that, because people are going to doubt. Of course they are, with the age he's been at, and of course with his history with the club. People are going to doubt. That's just natural. Whether you believe it to be right or wrong, it's going to happen. And he acknowledged them and was just saying, you know, people are going to doubt me. You know, I'm 35. People could talk, do what they want, but I'm going to do my all for this club, and I believe I can do a job for this club. And you know, that'll do for me. You know, that'll do for me. So like I say, he speaks very, very well. And I do think he can do a job for us somewhat. He has been offered only a 1-year deal, which I think is probably the right thing to do given his age. I do think he'll be able to offer probably more than Charlie White anyway, because Danny Graham, he has become more of a hold-up player and a poacher. And like I said, his aerial ability seems to improve massively. Looking at the sort of goals that he scored for Blackburn anyway, quite a lot were through his head, which isn't really something I really associated with him last time round. But yeah, so it does seem like he's added quite a lot to his game and has changed things around. And of course, with time he gets older, he get more mature. And I think he might be able to do a job for us. And I hope he does. You know, I really hope he does. The only thing that was a negative for me is because it just isn't what I wanted. Or maybe that sounds really bloody spoiled. I didn't mean to say it like that. But basically what I meant to say is, it isn't what I believe we needed. There we go, that's the right phrase of it. Jesus Christ, I sound like a right spoiled brat. But we will have a look at the official Sunderland statement from when he did sign. So, Sunderland AFC are delighted to announce the return of Danny Graham, the 35-year-old striker who spent 3 years at the club between 2013 and 2016, has signed a one-year deal ahead of the 2020-21 Sky Bet League season. I think they meant to put League One season there, but anyway, we'll let him off. Following the expiration of his contract at the Stadium Light, Graham signed a permanent deal with Blackburn Rovers in 2016. The striker excelled throughout his time at Ewood Park, scoring 52 league goals in 176 appearances with the club. 14 of those came during the 2017-18 season as Graham fired Rovers to promotion from Sky Bet League One. The striker has a plethora of experience within the game, having made almost 600 career appearances with 12 different clubs, and his return rubber stamps Phil Parkinson's 6th signing of the summer. Speaking after his return to Wayside, Graham said, "It's been in the pipeline for a number of weeks now, so I'm delighted the deal is done and it feels great to be here. I'm looking forward to the challenge that lies ahead." Parkinson added, "I'm delighted to welcome Danny to the club. He provides us with another option and more competition at the top end of the pitch, and he's another excellent addition to the squad." So as mentioned in the statement there, as you can see, he is a much more experienced player now. He's done it in League One before. Can he do it again? That remains to be seen. I do think with the right service, and we do go through phases where, we do have to resort to sort of Route 1 football, which isn't pretty at all. But if our play that we would prefer to play, ball on the ground, nice little 1-2s, if we're playing a team that are just purely physical and just hit you hard and in your face, it's hard to play that kind of football. So you might have to resort to Route 1, and he would eat that up. That is his bread and butter. Do you know what I mean? He loves his aerial duels, his 50-50s, and holding up the ball to bring others into the game. That, like I say, is his bread and butter. So he can definitely be of at least some value to us. I'm not going to write him off, of course. Absolutely not. Just didn't excite me, to be honest with you. But yeah, of course, I hope it all goes well for him, because if it goes well for him, it goes well for us. But away from Danny Graham, there was a couple of little things that have happened or have gone on. There's been one player who we have been heavily linked with, and he's a young striker from Argentina, and he goes by the name of Mateo Bajamic. I believe that's how you say his name. It's a lot easier than Jamali anyway. But he is only 21 years of age. I know very little about him. Again, I've seen YouTube clips here and there where he looks like a pretty decent prospect. And if we did go for him, it is believed to be around 500k. We'd have to pay for him. But there are teams in the MLS that have, reportedly offered more in terms of wages. So whether we'd be able to compete with that, I don't know. But we have been heavily linked with him. And I know some people have said over social media, we don't need 4 strikers. We only play one up top half the time. But we did the other night, or the other day, should I say, against Hull. We did change and tweak the formation. Usually we have the 3 at the back, 2 wing backs, 2 in the middle, and then we usually have 1 striker and then 2 sort of inside forwards either side. But at times on Saturday we did revert to 2 up top and then have someone just behind and drop in behind the strikers. So it's good to have those kind of players there. So I would like to see a young player like that. You're always going to get excited about a young guy from South America coming over to Sunderland, aren't you? Just hopefully he's more of a Julio Walker and not a Scocco, if you know what I mean. But in saying that, it probably isn't going to happen. It might not happen. It's just something to think about. And it is a youngster, so it would be more of a long-term sort of prospect and project. And of course, Danny Graham it's very, very short-term, hence why he's got a 1-year deal. But again, that is mainly rumours. But yeah, that is something there. And the last thing of the video is the captaincies have been announced just today, just before I did start recording. Max Power has been given the captain's armband, whereas Bailey Wright has been given the vice captaincy, and the club captain is going to be Grant Ledbetter. Now, does it mean much? I mean, I think it does a little bit, because for me, Max Power, I actually think that the captaincy actually weighs quite heavily on him, and he I think it does weigh heavily on him during his performances. Whether I could be right or wrong, he might relish the role of being the captain, but I feel like it could, and it has kind of proved to be a bit too much for him, because he's so focused on barking out orders, yet instead of focusing on his own game. He needs to be able to do both as a captain, and there's just so many games where I watch him and he's barking out orders to people, but he's doing nothing and adding nothing to the game himself, apart from shouting about and pointing at players to do this, that and the other, yet he's not doing much. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I would have liked to have seen it given to Bailey Wright, because I just feel like he's on chains at the minute. Do you know what I mean? Max Power, because I've said so many times. This can be the last time I'm going to say it, but we've seen what he is capable of. I think Max Power is capable of being a very, very good player. I think he can be a very good player, but he's just so inconsistent. And if the captaincy is something that is maybe, of course, I don't know whether I'm right or wrong or not, but if it is something that could be potentially weighing him down, then don't give him the captaincy. But either way, congratulations to him. Of course, I hope it goes well for him. I don't hate Max Power by any means. I just, it's just very frustrating to see a player who I know can be so good, and he just isn't. Do you know what I mean? But yes, that's everything to cover in this video. So what do you guys think about the signing of Dhannoo Graham, the young lad from Argentina, and of course the captaincies as well? Let me know in the comments down below. But if you have enjoyed this video, please hit the like button for me. It'd be massively, massively appreciated. And subscribe to the channel if you're not already to become a fully fledged member of the Sarny Army. But for now, you take care, stay jamming.